finally happened. They finally made one for the family. Hello, everybody. Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV, back down here at Brinkely, getting my hands on their very first Model I with a dedicated bunk space. Now, this is a direct result. A lot of aspects of this RV actually are a direct result of a ton of input that you've shared on videos like mine on the previous Model Is right here. Because not only have people been saying, well, are they going to make one for a family instead of just solos or couples? Yes, absolutely. This is one right here, and this is a dynamite floor plan. I've always really liked this floor plan, and what I like most about it is most builders who make this, the rear bunks are just completely open air into the living room. But Brinkely created an entire sliding wall system here that provides private rear sleeping space that almost no other builder with a layout like this does in a travel trailer. I've only ever really seen it done in a fifth wheel with a layout like this, but also not just giving you a family space that's private. They have continued to enhance and improve their little dinette station on this. Folks said, hey, we really don't like how this sticks way out into the living room. And they've come up with a prototype kind of version of this today that essentially rolls away and goes away and makes it so you don't have to duck underneath of it to get to everything, but it pops out to be a ginormous flippin' desk space if you want it. And that's what I think is really cool, how they continue to update and evolve this thing as they go. Now, they nailed the bedroom, so they didn't really mess around with that. You've still got that Olympic queen bed with the really cool hidden pocket kind of storage side stands, the drop frame front storage compartment, the aluminum skin over Asdel construction that is almost exclusive to the Model I series here across the entire industry, making it very, very good against like hail damage and a number of other things. Now, this one, they were able to do a double gray tank that is plumbed together with a single sewer outlet, so it's just simple, easy, and straightforward. They also have some of the best running gear that I think is available in the travel trailer market right now. That and a whole bunch more. I'm really excited to go through this one with you. It's got some hitches in its giddy up, as does anything. But let me know what you think about it. Good, bad, ugly, and in between. I'll do my best to try to provide the same information. We'll meet together in the comment section, and I want to hear from you. What do you think of the newest Model I? So let's get into it. This has been a very popular family camping kind of concept for a while now, because I think what this one provides is like your sleeping is on the front and the back of the RV. So whether it's your private front bedroom or in this case, a potentially private rear bunk room, everyone has their own separated sleeping space. So you're not keeping each other up at night. Because if you don't sleep good, then everyone's going to be on each other's nerves tomorrow. And that's what it means to love your children to death. You know, nobody wants to get into that situation right there. We are in the Brinkley White Room. You'll never guess why it's called that when you look out this window. And basically, the camera's actually like, oh my gosh, what do I even focus on? So sorry if the zoom got a little funny there. I'm going to back up. Basically, if you're sitting down at the theater seat, this is your view right here. They are considering adopting this revised dinette and fireplace 1-2 wombo combo based on viewer feedback from the previous 265, 275 Model I videos that I put out there. People said, we don't want the table to stick out and we would really like a fireplace. Well, Brinkely said, all right, we can do that. I also really like how they handle this little corner exchange right here between the door and the dinette countertop station, where they give you basically a quadruple J hook arrangement right there, which makes for a handy little like place to hang a jacket when you walk in the door, or a dog leash or something like that, you know. This is also kind of nice that all your important controls are hidden away from the little tiny hands of the camper so that they don't mess with this stuff. They've also upgraded the chipset on all their Rockford Fosgate systems across the board, so they're now app enabled. Basically what that means is if you want to control the stereo while you're outside, you can do that. And when we step outside, I'll give you a look below the skirt line. Have a really keen eye. You'll actually see how the outside speakers are skirt mounted, which I don't mind because it keeps the volume down where you want it. It doesn't blow away the neighbors, and it's not creating leak points in the side of the RV. Not to mention, their stereo system sounds pretty darn good. And I hope you like this decor, because this is the only one they offer. So kind of keep that in mind right there. I also want to kind of teach you how to sort of read this. Like if you look at these windows, The window on the left side of the slide is more easily seen through. That does not open for airflow. The windows on the right side have a bug screen because those do open for airflow. That will help you understand which windows open in which way. They do all, of course, have at least a blackout nightshade that draws down, and there is a radiant barrier blocker on the back of that. So when you are camping in hot sun country, it helps block that out. Now, sometimes people look at this area up here, and if you notice, there's a little more wall above the window versus over there. And people say, well, something's crooked or they don't know how to build a square. That's not correct. This is built the correct way. This is a floor flush rack and pinion slide. And basically the slide has to gee-haw teeter-totter, which is fancy dancy talk for rock around, baby. And as a result, if it was built perfectly, shoebox rectangular, it would not seal properly. So this is the correct way of having things done. I also really appreciate, just over the shoulder of that cloth touch sofa back here, we do have, some household and USB outlets, and they're using kind of a consolidated motorhome style combo outlet there. And these have a large inverter that we'll get to see outside, helping power those up. Now, once again, one of the cool things about this RV is that it does have the ability to fully privatize the bunks, which is an immediate differentiator as compared to nearly any other builder of a layout like this I've seen. Most brands, it's an open air bunk system. If you're lucky, you get a privacy curtain. Well, they came up with a tri-panel sliding door system that not only privatizes the rear bunks, but actually locks them shut. You have to push down and disengage the lock system to open this up right here, and then you're good to go. Now I'm doing this slowly, and I would recommend teaching the kids to be gingerly with that. Don't wham the thing open or close. It's probably not going to hold up too well to that. But it's nice because it can give you the sensation of more space or full privatization. Now, to help keep things cool back there, because you are going to enclose that space, you have dual factory standard AC in this. This has a 26,000 BTU air system. In the living room back here, you have the 18,000 BTU Furrion chill cube. Now, you might notice in the living area, it's a direct dump air conditioner. The thing is, that is one of the most energy efficient, easy running, and powerful air systems out there. The cool thing is, it doesn't actually necessarily turn off. It goes into like temperature maintenance. So you can crank it up all the way to 18,000 BTUs if you want and get the thing ice cold in here fast, but then it will drop itself down to like 6,000 BTUs and it will get very quiet. And the cool thing about that system, it allows for a single central air duct, which they do run back here. So even though you can privatize the rear bunk space and what looks like a non-centralized air camper, you can still make sure every room is comfortably climate controlled. Around the corner here, you can see some household and some USB outlets for the kiddos in the upper bunk. I haven't checked the lower bunk. Give me just a second to back up past Teddy Ruxpin here. Depending on your age, you either know exactly what I'm talking about or you have no idea. And if you know Teddy Ruxpin, then you know, my buddy, wherever I go, he goes. Yeah, that takes me right back. I had a my buddy, and he was my buddy. I took that dude everywhere. He was my guy. You could say he was my buddy. Something else I noticed, I almost missed this as I was walking through this camper. I noticed some funky black lines here on the steps. Lo and behold, I discovered some Legend of Zelda secret storage inside this thing right here. And it looks like, if you really notice, that actually goes way back in there. That can be one heck of a private shoe garage. And then above that, they don't waste the space. They give you the extra little pocket right here. These could be shoes, socks, Crocs, undies, whatever. Or obviously they can be like hats, gloves, and everything else. Flashlights would be handy in there. Ooh. Walking our way up from there, I don't know that you can necessarily realize how big those drawers are until I get you sort of broadside on them here. In addition to the little, Crocs, socks, and undies garage, you've got serious dresser space there. And I respect the fact that they didn't make this hanging storage, although I could see some people preferring that. But I think a lot of folks, when you are summer camping, spring, summer, fall camping mostly are going to run around with foldable kid clothing versus stuff that needs to be hung up. I could be totally mistaken. I don't know. But what about entertainment? And in case you're hearing what sounds like, well, farting sounds, that was my shoes rubbing against the sofa. Not that anybody will believe me. Well, that's where this comes in. This is the, what's it called? Nexus smart projector system up here. We're actually streaming YouTube right now. And again, not that anyone will believe me, Brinkely actually already had this set up to my Model I 265 video, which, by the way, if you like, I like this camper, but I don't need bunks, take a look at the other Model Is. They are exclusively factory standard with a smart projector system. The thing is, like, if you're like, I don't know that I really necessarily care for that. They do have things like HDMI plugs over here. They also have, coax inputs. So if you do want to change this over to a more traditional television entertainment system, you absolutely could. But in the meantime, what you get instead is just an amazing panoramic campside viewing scenario. Now, again, it looks like we, put white plastic over the windows. That's just the photo booth, effectively, that we're in over here in this kitchen space. Here's another really cool thing about this Nexus Smart Projector. It's removable. So if you want to take it down, you want to plop it on a picnic table outdoors or something like that, if you want to angle it under the awning or something like that, you can take it down. It has its own battery power system. You can use it, I think, like a charger bank for your phones. You can use it like a Bluetooth speaker for the day. It does a ton of crazy kind of cool stuff. Now, one of the things that's nice is this RV has a 6'9" ceiling clearance. So if you're a little over 6 foot tall like me, you're not going to bump your head into that thing all the time over here. Now, the cabinetry is going to look like it color changes depending on where this camera is facing. You might notice it's already doing a little bit of that right now. That's just a result of the fact that the camera is trying to figure out inside versus outside lighting. Now, this over here was done at your request. It's the first time they've done it, and they are really looking for your feedback because they may consider adopting this across the board instead of the old sticks out in the way potential Dynesk area. They have gone to a system that basically rolls away. So you notice how it does not stick out past the kitchen counter line right there. And they did leave everything as squared off as possible to make it as useful and functional. And that is solid surface countertop space, by the way. But a lot of folks said, man, we would really like the fireplace instead of the storage that's really hard to get to. So they said, no problem. But they still wanted to include some kind of cool table situation, which I think they've done a pretty good, effective job of accomplishing. If you notice, this is still plenty deep. Now, if you have that electric fireplace on and your legs are a little too close to it, it actually has a proximity sensor where it will stop producing heat so it doesn't burn you or the kids' legs or something like that. And if you wanted to, you could bring a couple extra chairs that you pop on either side of this, but by default, it comes from the factory with a pair of foldaway chairs that can actually store very nicely right below the front bed. So if you need, you could almost use it like extended wraparound peninsula countertop space for the kitchen. There goes that color changing cabinet magic once again. And you obviously could use it just for dining down here. I'd be kind of curious. What do you think of this? Should this be what they adopt on like all the Model Is? And it's incredible how much extra space you get when you kind of put that thing away. I probably wouldn't leave it out all the time myself, but that's just me. And just in case you're curious, there actually is a handy little utility drawer here, whether you want to use that for utensils or, remote controls, decks of cards. I don't know. How would you go about using that space? I'd be kind of curious. Working our way up here, they wanted to make this upper L-shaped cabinet as functional and accessible as possible. And I think my guess is they were probably flirting with the idea of like a Lazy Susan at some point, but decided instead of doing that, because if stuff fell off it, like if you put spices on it, stuff could fall in that back corner, it'd be really hard to get. They came up with this double hinged swing out the way door system right here to make everything very easy to get to, which I actually think was a really cool, really smart idea. Now you might notice this RV does not offer a propane stove, or nope, oven. It has a propane stove, not a propane oven. That's because that is a residential sized air fryer, convection, microwave, electric oven combo right there. That basically anything that you could bake in a normal RV propane oven, you could cook in there. And that is thankfully hooked up to their 3000 watt factory standard inverter on this. So if you are doing a little bit of boondocking, it'll tax the batteries, but you can still cook. Big high-rise sprayer faucet right there with a full-length roll-away cover. And I want to kind of stress that because not every manufacturer will actually allow you to fully cover the sink with the dish drying rack. Sometimes you only get about half of that. Big old wide open space down here under the sink is either fantastic for pots and pans or dishwasher prep. There actually is a power outlet back there. If you want to install a dishwasher, you could, and you might notice how your heat vents are not in the floor. So this is a total carpetless, no vents in the floor, kind of easy, clean heat system here. This has kind of become a Brinkley signature feature, one of their golden thread features, the easy access pull-out trash can space, but they always find a way to plus one it over everybody else. Like this actually looks, I think this is CNC routed, where they have the cutout here where if you want to put your extra trash bags or something in there, you can. And you also have the, bonus pull-out drawer above that with the handy-dandy indoor-outdoor removable kind of good place for the neighbor to sit situation. But what you haven't seen so far in the kitchen is drawers. Well, good news, they didn't forget about them. In fact, not only do you have two really nicely sized drawers, you have a third XL drawer at the bottom there that's a little bit bigger. And if you look at the back of that drawer down there, you actually can see the dovetail construction that they're including on that, which instead of exclusively just, stapling the box of the drawer together, they go that extra mile right there to help keep everything from rattle trapping apart going down the road. Now, up top here, you'll find both here in the kitchen and in the bathroom the XL Fajita Friday Fume Fighting Fart Fan with the handy-dandy rain sensor on it, like a big old luxury fifth wheel that they're doing here in a, I'll say 3/4 ton towable travel trailer kind of segment. Now they have flip-flopped the refrigerator and the pantry in this slide, again, based on viewer feedback. There is a power outlet over there, but the little display Keurig machine is kind of in the way. They've also kind of tweaked this around a little bit to make it just a little bit smarter, a little more intuitive, and easy to access everything. I love when drawers are in pantries like that. And they were the first to use this. Like, at a glance, you look at it, it looks almost like every other 12-volt compressor fridge out there. But remember how this RV has a 6'9" ceiling, 3 inches taller than the 6.5-foot industry standard. That allowed them to go with a little bit taller slide out, and they wanted to put the biggest refrigerator in it they could. So that's a taller slide with a floor-to-ceiling 12 cubic foot refrigerator that is 12-volt compressor powered. So that's like one of the largest in-class standard refrigerators out there. And once again, you're going to watch everybody and their brother start adopting something like that. But again, they did it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The little buckskin colored theater sofa does, it is a wall hugger, by the way, so you can fully comfortably recline. But notice one of the more recent updates they've applied to this. They used to have a wireless phone charge port here, but they didn't by default have cup holders. Well, folks said they'd prefer cup holders over a wireless phone charger, and Brinkely said, no problem, we'll put a power outlet over there in the corner so you still have your phone charging, but now you've got your handy-dandy drink holders right there as well. Now, remember that sliding, locking privacy door we saw for the bunk? They have the exact same thing over there for the bathroom, which I think is another nice touch, because when you are there in your birthday suit, you want to make sure that you're feeling nicely enclosed and privatized, you know what I mean? One of the things I thought was really interesting, they went with just this gigantic, like, glow surround mirror over here on the wall. And it really, especially once you're in the bathroom, it makes the bathroom look and feel extra large down here. These little, I'm not usually a fan of open face storage. When it's shallow and kind of low like this, it doesn't really bother me. I haven't opened the sink. I want to see what's down here. Ooh, that was finished far more cleanly than I suspected. And if we get down here, you're going to see only PEX on PEX plumbing. And actually, wherever possible, they're using brass fittings. You can actually see that brass brass knuckles up there. Also, every single water fixture in this has its own individual cutoff. So let's say for some reason, the cold water line that feeds this bathroom sink goes ace deuce. You can shut off just the cold water, still have hot water here, have hot and cold water to your sink and to your kitchen sink rather, and your shower, and not cripple your entire RV adventure. And what do you think of this? My camera doesn't always do great with some colors in here, but this is, I think it's called like a champagne bronze or something. I think it's a nice little accent color beyond just like a traditional black sink. They wanted to make sure though that you had a little bit of lipitorage storage, so they sort of built something in right over here. And it's not that it's massive, but I think it's enough. I think it's intelligently done and it's just enough. And you might notice also, anywhere that anything would bump, they always put one of those little rubber bumpers on there to make sure it doesn't end up like, gouging stuff up or anything like that. Where do we go from here? Let's weave our way around the corner best we can. You've got the porcelain bowl foot flush toilet right there, which is just exceptionally fluffy friendly. That is very fluffy friendly right there. And as we continue our way around the corner, you'll notice how this is a one-piece molded fiberglass shower. Again, a luxury fifth wheel feature you don't typically run into in a travel trailer. Now, one of the things I want to really draw your attention to is actually what's just above our heads over here. So take a look on the left side of the screen. You can see me kind of pointing up to it, the big XL Fajita Friday Fume Fighting Fart fan in the bathroom area right here. And the fact that they, one, with the taller ceiling, have, I think, reasonable head clearance in here. And two, they don't do a traditional skylight. Instead, they give you a light in the shower so you can see whether it's day or nighttime. And they still give you the extra headroom of a skylight, but they eliminate the single largest hole cut in your roof membrane as a result. I personally think that is a really smart decision, and I would like to see that kind of catch on a little bit more. Now, this wall over here, they had to kind of figure out what do we do with it. So they put a couple towel hooks. They put something up top there where once you're at your destination, they had bonus little shelf space. I don't know. I'd be curious what you think about it. And you may have noticed, but just to kind of complete the bathroom 360, the butt napkin roller is right there, right next to the turlet. Yes, sir. Now, if I can slide my way back here a little bit. Moving up here into the bedroom, this is basically the same bedroom that you saw in the 265, 275 Brinkley Model Is, but flip-flopped left to right, which doesn't necessarily change a whole lot. You might notice there are not side hanging wardrobe towers. We will get to the hanging storage in just a minute, but first, to start from the top and work our way down, the factory standard second air conditioner. Now, this is an 8,000 BTU bedroom dedicated air conditioning system right here. There is a central air duct in the bathroom that I didn't mention, by the way. So keep it, the bathroom, the bunks, everything in this does have essentially direct cooling comfort included in it. But that makes this feel nice and wide open. And they have, I think, the largest front windshield of anything that I've seen here in class before. Now, I don't like to use the fisheye wide angle lenses. So this slightly wider 66 wide by 80-inch long Olympic Queen is really going to dominate the camera view for a second here. But it's wide enough that you can still stretch out. And like if you're like me and you have a dog that likes to sleep with you at night, there's plenty of room right there. But it's also not so wide that you can't walk around it. The reason they flip-flopped the bedroom left to right was to include the second direct entry bedroom door right here. And they did that so that if you think about where the bunks are located, if you put the kids to bed at night and you want to get up here to the bedroom or get in and out of the bathroom and not wake the kids up, that second door allows you to do that. It will also provide some really excellent traveling access to the bedroom and bathroom. And due to a few factors, namely the profile of their nose as well as their taller ceiling, they're able to provide, I think, far more useful and functional overhead cabinet space. But what do you think about this? And they basically have side storage chests on each side of the bed. Now, you do potentially need to lift that to get out, to be able to get in there, but it allows for larger items and more storage in that same space. And to give you another little bit of an idea right here, apparently one of the Brinkely team members donated an old CPAP machine or something like that. So yeah, there's absolutely plenty of CPAP capacity. I don't know. I feel like there's something there. I'll work that out on my own time. But so far, we haven't really seen any hanging storage. Well, they accomplish it in two ways. First of all, they use the space under the bed in a way that's never exactly been done before in a towable RV, at least to my knowledge. It is, I don't remember their name for it. I've always called it the walk-down closet. Because if you notice on the bottom of the bed, they actually have like clothes hanging racks built right into this sucker. And the space in between the chassis frame rails that most manufacturers just leave dead and empty, they did something with. You literally step right down into this. And if you need it to be bonus, I don't know, dresser space, shoe storage, the folding chairs that we looked at before, I've seen some people say, where do I don't know, keep a cat litter box? Where do I put my dog bed? You know, where do I put this stuff? Where do I put yesterday's clothes now that it's today? Well, they give you a space for all of that. It's different. It's unconventional. You might not like it, but the good news is that's not the only game in town when it comes to storage in their bedrooms. Because just around the corner, they include a whole bunch more of these things. Now, something else you might have noticed if you had really keen eyes is down there below the bottom drawer. That's where all of your fuses and everything are located. You can tell the people who designed the Brinkley RVs actually used the Brinkley RVs because they made sure to keep things like the slide out controls and the fuses away from easy direct access by the littles. Smart. Now, when these doors open, from my current point of view, it's a little bit hard to see, so I'm gonna, ouch, is there a funny bone in your knee? Oh, that hurt. The bedside stand, I'm just gonna let you know, if you crack it with your knee, it is very solidly constructed. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to breathe that one out and I'm going to hobble off camera a little bit and then probably do a couple big swears. But you might notice how there's some hanging storage in there, but there's a shelf in the way. That is a removable shelf. You don't need a screwdriver or anything like that. It just removes. Now, I haven't demonstrated because it causes camera flickering, but your bedroom, your living room lighting, it's all dimmable, by the way. So if you want to kind of bring the lights down a little bit, you absolutely can do that very easily. I also wanted to close the slide up for a little segment I call road mode, because even though with the second door in the bedroom you can get to everything, you're going to have to be Stretch Armstrong to squeeze your way through there like Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. The good news is it provides you bedroom and bathroom access in transit or in storage. That's actually one of the really handy benefits of having, bed bath access is just when the RV is put away for the winter or spring when you want to put it away or get it out. You don't have to necessarily have it completely open because there's some storage spaces you can't really do that. But it does mean that we got to do a little bit of a travel trailer two-step to go out of one door and go into the other to get our way around here. But it also means that all of the sleeping spaces are, all the primary sleeping spaces are available in this. Like your hide-a-bed is not functional because obviously we have the slide in the way. But when the slide closes, because of your input causing Brinkely to flip-flop the pantry and the fridge, now our refrigerator remains available. Our microwave, which can be road-powered via the inverter, remains available. Stovetop, drawers, sink, all this stuff. So it's got about 99% travel access. But you got to do the two-step to get to it, which isn't necessarily everybody's favorite. So I'm going to give it like a solid B plus for travel function. But overall, for something this size, they gave you as much access and function as they really could. So as we step outside, one of the first things I want to do is start talking towing. Like, what kind of vehicle are we going to need to move this around? My knee-jerk reaction is going to be something in the 3/4-ton family. I don't know that I would really recommend pairing this up with almost any half-ton out there. They might theoretically be a couple up to snuff, but here's why I say that. Tip to tail, front to back, it's about 35 foot long. A long RV pushes around a lighter wheelbase or a lighter curb weight vehicle like a half-ton more easily. The other thing here is this is over like 8,000 pounds empty and has a just over 10,000 pound total max weight GVW. Because the thing is, you notice how Brinkley doesn't call this the Model I Ultralight? This is just the Model I. They do a lot of things, but building flimsy isn't exactly one of those. And as a result, that does mean that they run on, heavier running gear. They have higher cargo carry capacities. They have bigger holding tank capacities as compared to most things in this class. And as a result, it weighs more. And you're going to need a little more capable vehicle to kind of haul this around. Are they going to come out with smaller, lighter ones? Possibly, yes, in the future. For now, this is what we have. Now, there's a major thing I need to talk about on the outside of this, and that's their whole skin package. It's maybe it's Maybelline, I don't know, but this thing has one of the coolest, smoothest looks. Actually, let me get you right up beside this thing. And the thing is, what we're looking at here is not high gloss fiberglass. You notice how it has a literal mirror finish on it? This is actually an aluminum one-piece skin. And the thing is, it's a painted aluminum exterior. So you know how like on the big Model Gs and whatnot, you can pay lots and lots of money for a paint package? This RV effectively has a factory standard paint package. And one of the things is that will help keep this looking really, really good long term. It also provides greater impact resistance. And they're still using Asdel right below the skin, but it's below the aluminum exterior skin instead of fiberglass. Now, there's not a lot of RVs that have ever attempted that sort of exterior skin structure over the years. One of those is the old StarCraft Starstream. They're hard to find, but if you do bump into one on the internet or something, they still look almost brand new because this skin package holds up. It's kind of like your vehicle has a painted exterior. So does this, you know what I mean? Now, our docking center here, very fifth wheel stylish, that has a 65-foot built-in retractable freshwater hose. That's really nice because a lot of campgrounds sometimes have the hookups in really squirrely spots. Notice too, they include all the little brass L fittings and everything on here for you. That's another thing. You're going to find basically brass fittings on the plumbing package on this. Brinkley's standard plumbing package is about 2 or 3 steps above the industry requirement. Now, you might notice how you have your power stabilizer jack buttons protected here in the docking center. One, it keeps them away from the weather, which, as a person who has spent time examining used RVs, I can tell you is a good thing. The other thing is, it keeps them away from the unmonitored children roaming around the campground, the the ferals, if you will. And I'm not saying that as a condemnation of the children. They became that way because they were never, given proper guidance and whatnot. And perhaps their parents are expecting the village to raise them. But anyone who's been at a campground and seen the feral children screaming through everyone's campsites, you know what I mean. So they enclose all that stuff so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. It's just much, much easier. The lights that go down the screw trim caps on the front, those vertical glow saber beams, they look super cool. And if you're in the middle of nowhere at night, they are going to light up the front end of this thing. So that giant, it's like 75 by 48 or some massive front windshield. You'll be able to really enjoy the view out of the front side of this thing if you want. Of course, you have that privacy shade there. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but if I get you right up here, okay, it is popping through. You can see how the back of the nightshade actually does have a radiant barrier backer on it. So if that nose is parked dead in the sun, your head's not going to feel like an ant under a magnifying glass. Is the nose potentially going to be a little bit warmer than the sidewalls? Yeah, probably will. Is it going to be to the point that it's, super extreme, uncomfortable, can't stand it? I don't think it's going to be. But hey, perhaps actual owners can chime in the comment section and let us know how their Model Is have been doing. And I only have one little critique of the front pass-through compartment. Overall, I think this is pretty much an absolute nail it. For me, it's a 99% passing score. I love the full light beam that goes across the front in the cargo space. 3,000 watt inverter, actually factory standard on these. Now that can run everything in the RV except for the front air conditioner. the microwave, and the dishwasher prep. So even your primary living room chill cube air is attached to that inverter, which that's very rare for a factory standard. Now, over here around the corner, you've got a couple things. You've got your various levels of battery disconnect. You have like a storage mode, a travel mode, and a dedicated, like triple disconnect on this, which is probably one of the best ways I've seen it done and accomplished. Backing our way out of here, you might notice how it does have the handy slam latches and magnet holdbacks, but they do that across the board, not just the front compartment, but even the outside refrigerator, which is kind of just tucked in under the kitchen sink. So you know how the kitchen had that L shape and there's a corner of it that you really couldn't get to from the inside? Well, they made it do something on the outside. This is actually a 12-volt refrigerator. Now, for clarity, what I am actually looking at today, this is a 110 refrigerator, but this is only here as a prototype proof of concept. The actual production units will have 12 volts. So that will actually be operational even in transit, or very boondock friendly, which is cool. Now, right down below this, we have, of course, our gas grill propane cooker hooker. The other thing that we have going on, well, multiple things, enclosed underbelly. There is a radiant barrier protection. That right there is a little access panel. It's actually a zipper panel to like the motor of the rack and pinion slide system. So you don't have to like take a shop razor and cut your belly and then duct tape it up in place. Like they do all this by intent so that you don't have to worry about stuff later. These also have 12-volt tank heater pads, factory standard, 0 to 100 degree rated, all day, every day. Now, let's talk tires and running gear, because there's a lot going on here. First of all, we have, H-rated, I think, hand-cooked tires on this, which these are excellent, excellent tires. As far as I know, this is also the industry first and only RV that has anti-lock brake systems, electronic anti-sway, and dynamic surge braking assistance. Basically what that means is, like, if you're going down a really sharp incline, or you have to absolutely blast the brake pedal real quick, this RV is actually equipped to understand you're braking harder than normal, and it will actually provide a bigger boost to the trailer brake system so that you can get brought down to speed safely and more easily. And what's great is all three of those fancy pants systems I just mentioned work what I call automagically. They do everything on their own. You don't even have to think about it. All you do is worry about the road in front of you and not also have to worry about the trailer behind you. And why safety systems like that are not factory standard, I don't know. But I'm glad that Brinkely, once again, is leading the charge on stuff like this. On the back here, we have our 60,000 BTU tankless on-demand water heater. And under those bunks, we have one of the biggest, what you gonna do with all that junk in the trunk, storage systems I think I've seen in a very, very long time. But what's really cool is not only is it really large, but you see this little guy over here? It's actually expandable. So you can put that up there, you can screw that in place. They have said when they go into production, they're actually just gonna put some magnets up there to make it easy. But you have a like sideways pass-through rear, I don't wanna say bulkhead, bulk rear storage compartment on the back of this thing, and a 300-pound accessory hitch on the back so that you also have place for bike racks, or the bumper dumper, or if Aunt Edna croaks on the family vacation, or a tray for things like a portable generator. You can have all that stuff right here for you. The ladder getting you up to the roof line, one of the nice things there is notice how it has that rear wall to roof transition, the grab up top so that you can more safely and easily make that exchange. And that little transition grab, I'm telling you, as somebody who gets up and down a lot of RV roofing, I really appreciate that. Now, there's a couple things going on here that if I don't describe them, if you've never seen a Brinkely video, you might not be aware what they're doing up here in the roof line, because you're like, why are we up here? I get it. There's a solar panel and there's a couple air conditioners. Well, a few things. One of the biggest things I want to talk about is their sealant system. This is a thing called MS Polymer. What's the science name? I don't remember the science name for it. Anyway, but this stuff basically is the same kind of sealant that you'll often find on the roof of like $250,000 and up diesel pushers. And the reason Brinkley's using that is not because it's the less expensive option, but because it's effectively the lowest required maintenance sealant solution available in the industry. The sealant basically pretty much has like a lifetime warranty. So I'm not telling you this is a no maintenance roof. I'm telling you this is the lowest maintenance roof that you're going to find anywhere in the traditionally sized travel trailer industry. Also, you might notice these big white hockey puck looking things kind of sticking up. Those are heat vents so that it, the roof attic space can actually exhaust some of the heat out. It greatly enhances the cooling efficiency of this RV. 200-watt factory standard solar, but with the hardware and the wiring they're using, you could scale up to about 600 watts. Call our team on stuff like that, and we can get you some quotes and figures there. Walking our way back down here, I realize I did not open that little side compartment, either separate compartment or pass to the back compartment space there. So I thought I'd pop that open for you real quick. I do think it's interesting. Like, if I don't point this out, I don't think people necessarily even realize it. When I back up a little bit, you'll notice how they actually put, just remember that can open up right there, a see-through masking on the windows, so that the windows actually don't break up the exterior pattern, the look of it, basically. Just something very interesting. And you got to give Brinkely credit. They were the ones that kind of first adopted these, what I call square flow windows. I think they're called like 4K windows. I don't know what the 4K means, but yeah, whatever. Almost everybody and their brother has started using them since then. And again, I like to try to give credit where it's due to originators where possible. I also want to give credit to the fact that they actually do have a cross-plumbed gray tank providing, Garrett, could you flash the holding tank capacities on the bottom of the screen, please? A larger true gray water capacity on this with a single consolidated sewer outlet, which is really handy. And you might notice that side-to-side super extended, like 8-foot wide sewer hose caddy tube there. And you may notice simple, easy, push-button operated stabilizer jacks to help keep that herky-jerky wiggle-jiggleness out of this sucker right here. I think we already hit the pass-through compartment. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are just about done here. What do you think of her? And as I always tend to do, I'll drop you a link in the video description to double check pricing and availability. If you like this, but you're like, yeah, but do they have one without bunks? Maybe this is the first time you've seen a Brinkley travel trailer. Yes, they absolutely do. I tell you what I'll do. I'll leave you links to probably a bunch of different Brinkley stuff, whether it's their other Model I's, the Model Z Air travel trailers, maybe a couple Model Z fifth wheels. I don't know. I'll leave you a bunch of links down there for you to check out. And whether you're curious or whether you're serious, remember, we'll have at least MSRP listed on our website. I don't know that we're able to actually publish our discounted sale price in the case of these Brinkleys, but we'll always have something on our site, and our local team can take care of you. We do not sell for MSRP. I just don't think we're able to advertise for anything less than that. So kind of keep that little differentiator in mind. And when you're ready, we're ready. And until the next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.